He called it giving me one last chance. I called it Tuesday. Because by Tuesday, I had already been to a lawyer, already had the papers drawn, already knew down to the dollar what I was legally entitled to walk away with. He just didn't know I knew. And here's what I need you to understand before I tell you the rest of this story. He brought a lawyer to scare me. Into my own home, briefcase and everything. He didn't know I'd already been to one, 2 weeks before. On a Tuesday, while he was in back-to-back meetings. Picture this. His lawyer is talking. His mother is nodding from the armchair. Marcus is mid-sentence, something about keeping things civil. I reach into my bag. He pauses. I pull out a manila envelope, lay the papers flat on the coffee table, pick up a pen, and before he can finish his next sentence, I sign. Date. Signature. Done. I slide the papers across the table, pick up my bag, look at him one last time, and I walk out. The room was completely silent. His mother, for the first time in 3 years, had absolutely nothing to say. Now let me take you back to the beginning. Because you need the full picture to understand what that moment actually meant. Marcus and I were good once. Really good. The kind of good that makes you give things up without thinking twice. We met at 24. He was the guy who remembered your coffee order after one date, who drove 3 hours just to bring you soup when you were sick. I was gone, completely gone. We got married at 27, small wedding, backyard, fairy lights. And for the first 2 years, it was genuinely good. I was building something, account manager at a marketing firm, my own clients, real momentum. Then, Marcus got a big promotion, new city, new life. Will you come with me? And I said yes, because I loved him. Because that's what you do. That yes cost me 5 years of my career. What I didn't know was that those 5 years were quietly building the case I'd need later. It didn't fall apart all at once. It never does. It started small. He stopped asking about my day, started correcting me in front of friends, talking over me at dinner like I wasn't in the room. And if you've ever been made to feel invisible in your own home, you already know exactly how this feels. You don't leave immediately. You make excuses. You tell yourself, it's stress. It's the new job. It'll get better. It did not get better. Then his mother started coming around more. Now, I want to be clear. This is not a mother-in-law story. It's so much bigger than that. But I need you to understand one thing about this woman. She called me the housewife. Not as a joke. As my name. Oh, the housewife made dinner tonight. Oh, the housewife redecorated again. And Marcus, the man who used to drive 3 hours with soup, would laugh. One evening I was walking to the kitchen for water, not snooping, just thirsty. And I heard her say, "She doesn't bring anything to the table, Marcus. You could do so much better." I stopped walking. Then I heard him say, "I know, Mom. I've been thinking about it." I stood in that hallway for a full minute, and something in me went very, very quiet. Not sad, not panicked, quiet, like the moment right before a storm. Now here's the part I never told anyone. Not my mom, not my best friend. Nobody knew this, until right now. 2 weeks before I heard that conversation in the hallway, I had already called a lawyer. I know, let me explain. The comments, the laughing, the dismissal. They'd been building for months, and one day something inside me just clicked. I thought, what if he actually does it? What if one day he just decides he's done? What happens to me? I had no income. My career was 5 years behind. The house was in both our names, but I had contributed to every single payment. I needed to know where I stood. Legally. Financially. Specifically. So quietly. No drama. No confrontation. I booked an appointment with a family law attorney. Tuesday afternoon. Marcus was in back-to-back meetings. I sat across from her and laid everything out. She told me exactly what I was entitled to, exactly what I needed to document, exactly what my rights were. And then she said something I wrote down and kept. She said, "If he files first, you're reactive. If you're prepared first, you're in control." I didn't file that day. I wasn't ready. But I went home and I started documenting everything. Every household expense I'd covered, every contribution I'd made, every financial record I could access. I held on to that information like a match. Just in case. I didn't have to wait long. Because 3 weeks after that Tuesday appointment, he asked me to sit down. And I want you to see what happened next from his perspective for a second. Because that's what makes this hit different. Saturday morning, Marcus asked me to sit down. His voice had that careful tone, the rehearsed one. The one people use when they've practiced in the mirror. I sat down. His mother was already there. Armchair in the corner, arms crossed, watching. And then, I kid you not, a man I had never seen before walked through my front door. Suit. Briefcase. Marcus introduced him as a family friend who happens to be a lawyer. They had brought a lawyer into my home, into my living room, to scare me. And from his perspective, this was the moment I was supposed to panic. This was the moment I was supposed to cry, or beg, or fall apart. Marcus cleared his throat. "Sarah, I think we've run our course. I want a divorce. I think it's better for both of us if..." I reached into my bag. He kept talking. I pulled out a manila envelope. He paused. I opened it. Laid the papers flat on the coffee table, picked up the pen, and before he could finish his next sentence, I signed. Date. Signature. Done. Slid them across the table. The room went completely silent. His lawyer looked at the papers. Then at Marcus. Marcus looked at his mother. His mother, for the first time in 3 years, had absolutely nothing to say. I stood up, picked up my bag, looked at Marcus one last time. "My lawyer will be in touch. Have a good day." And I walked out. I sat in my car in that driveway for about 4 minutes. I didn't cry. I thought I would. I'd imagined this moment so many times and always pictured myself crying. Instead, I just breathed, and then I started the car. And I drove away from that house. For the last time. I want to be really honest with you about what came next. Because it wasn't immediately a glow-up. It wasn't triumphant music and a perfect new apartment and everything clicking into place overnight. The first month, I was eating cereal for dinner. Because cooking for one felt too heavy. I called my mom at 11 p.m. asking if I'd made a mistake. I opened my LinkedIn, 5 years out of the industry, and genuinely didn't know if anyone would remember me. Or care. I had nights where I wondered if I'd just traded one, kind of scared for another. But here's what I also had. A folder. Every contract I'd managed. Every result I'd produced. Every client relationship I'd built before I followed Marcus across the country. Documented. Organized. Ready. So I started sending emails. The first reply came on a Thursday. An old client. She said she'd actually been looking for someone exactly like me. 6 weeks in, 3 freelance contracts. 4 months in, I registered my own consulting firm. And 12 months after I walked out of that house, I was making more than I ever had at my old company. More, actually, than Marcus was making at his fancy new job. I found that out because he called. 7 months after I left, my phone rang. Marcus. I stared at it for 3 full rings. And I'll be honest, part of me still felt something, not love. But something. You don't just erase years of your life overnight. I answered. He said he'd made a mistake. Said he missed me. Said, and this is the part, said his mother had come around. His mother had come around. I took one breath. Marcus, I have a client call in 10 minutes. I hope you find what you're looking for. Take care of yourself. I hung up, opened my laptop, and got back to building my life. Here's what I need you to take from all of this. Marcus didn't lose because I was louder. He didn't lose because I had more money or more power going in. He lost because he assumed I wasn't paying attention. He thought the threat was the weapon. He didn't realize, the moment he started making threats, I had already been prepared for months. Every dismissal, I documented it. Every contribution, I recorded it. Every right I had, I already knew it. He handed me everything I needed. I just organized it. So if you're in a situation right now where someone is making you feel small, in your home, in your relationship, in your career, don't panic. Don't react. Don't give them anything they can use. Get informed. Get documented. Get prepared. Because the best response to a threat is never fear. It's readiness. If you've ever been in a room where someone expected you to fall apart, and you didn't, drop it in the comments right now. I want to know who's watching this. And if someone in your life needs to hear this story, share it with them. Not for me. For them. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone you love is show them someone else made it out. I read every single comment. Every one. New video coming soon. I'll see you there. Take care of yourselves.